attendee webinar. Some of this will be crossover. Some of this will be sponsor specific. So just a quick note there if you were watching the attendee webinar. But I think most of you are on this webinar because it's got more SaaStr sponsor specific information for SaaStr Europa. So without further ado, we'll get started because there's a lot to get through, and I want to make sure we have time for questions. So today's webinar is our ultimate SaaStr Europa sponsor guide to know before you go to SaaStr Europa. It is June 6th and 7th at the Tobacco Docks. I think many of you know that from all the emails, the comms. Hey, David, and everything else going on. Hi, how's it going?
Good. I'm good.
Cool.
Here to help.
Good. Yeah. I chime in on anything that I miss. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Transportation. I know a few sponsors and attendees have asked us of like, what's the best way to get to Tobacco Docks? Like we booked a hotel or we've booked like Airbnbs, obviously, or we're local. If you're local, there is a car park that is right, like connected to Tobacco Docks. It does close, I will say, like earlier than SaaStr Europa ends. So I don't recommend it. It is there. Don't recommend it though. Recommend you take, the tube, the DLR, or if you're staying at a nearby hotel, you walk, take an Uber or a cab. Things to note here, which I'll note on the campus map as well. If you do plan to take the tube, there's kind of two main ways to get off. Shadwell is a much closer walk, so that is the preferred way to get off. Wapping is more of a walk. It's also like a little bit busier that way, a bit more crowded because Wapping is like a main thoroughfare street through East London, so it does get really busy. There's a lot of like pedestrians traffic. I've walked it. It's nice because it's like along the quayside and like the water, but it's crowded. So
I heard it was a nice walk. That's what I heard.
It is a nice walk.
Yeah.
It's a nice walk, but it is a little bit more crowded. Obviously, London is just crowded in general, but coming from Shadwell, probably a little less crowded that way. If you do take an Uber or a Lyft or you're walking with your team, again, try and just enter on Pennington Street. It is a little calmer that way because it's not a main street the way Wapping Lane is. It's kind of like a backside street, so most folks don't go down the way unless you're coming to Tobacco Docks. So again, bit calmer if you're coming that way. We'll do an overview of the agenda and then we'll come into depth in it. But just to give you guys the agenda at a glance as it pertains to sponsors, we do have early badge pickup starting on Monday, as well as sponsor pickup time starting on Monday. So some of you have asked, like, do I need to get there early? You don't have to. We recommend it so you can get a lay of the land, but I wouldn't stress on changing flights, etc. if you're already coming just first thing Tuesday morning. But for those that are, I know many of you are, 2 p.m. Monday the 5th is the first entry in. Everything I just said on entrances, do bear that in mind for Monday. You can come either way. Our team may direct you one way for registration on Monday, but for like the live days, Pennington Street is the way to go. But anyways, Monday, there is early badge pickup for sponsors for 2 to 3. I will say at 3 o'clock is when our VIP reception starts. So there will be non-sponsors, there'll be attendees coming in. So if you do come at 3 o'clock, it'll start to get busier. But at 2 p.m., there's a whole hour just for sponsors to come, get their badges, and also so that our team will know, like, these are just sponsors coming in. We can meet your faces, but names to faces that we've just seen on Zoom thus far. So yeah, 2 to 3 if you want to come early, get your badge. And then you've pretty much got from 2 to 6 o'clock, basically the entirety of time there to set up your booth. So you can come at any time during that VIP reception. Just know that there will be actual attendees there as well. So yeah, highly recommend getting there at 2, but you can come at any time between 2 and 6 to get your badge and set up your booth. And what I mean by set up your booth is it's turnkey. So a lot of you have already approved your booth graphics, your print, you've got your shipments in with Lynn. But this is more so that, if in those shipments that are coming to the venue for you, you've got like t-shirts you want to roll, you've got swag you want to set out, you want to get a lay of the land, you want to get your badges early, you want to test your lead scanners on one another, you can all do that on Monday. It does help de-stress it, so I do highly recommend it. But again, if you're just coming first thing Tuesday morning, we're happy to accommodate. That's totally fine too, but it does, I think, help de-stress it a bit when you can get in early and make sure everything is there and the way that you want it to be before the first full day of Europa. Coming into Tuesday, we do have, again, just a half hour here in the morning for sponsor early arrivals before, registration and the sponsor hall officially opens. again, once attendees start to come in, they're going to kind of go wherever. So we do always get like those early birds who come right at 8 and then like then start talking to sponsors. Doesn't mean you have to come at 8. It just means there's always like an early bird person or two. But yeah, you do have some ample time here on Tuesday morning to get set up before the 9 o'clock official open. If this is like your first entry or like you're coming in overnight to London for those that are traveling. So again, same thing on like final setups and arrivals there. The sponsor hall is open from 9 to 6 formally. Yeah, it's gonna be crap. It's a long day. I know some of you are like shifting team members. It's a good idea to do. Taking breaks throughout the day. We do have like the pub on site. We've got the co-working space on site. Really great idea to shift your team members so that it's not just like one person or two people in the booth all day long, to keep, them fresh, etc. So just a recommendation and pro tip there for our sponsors. Day one is a jam-packed day, which we'll get into, but there's a lot of content, brain dates. There's 4 different stages at SaaStr Europa. There's lunch. There's this new thing we're doing called Power Hour. There's happy hour in the sponsor section. And then there is a rooftop party at Skylight, which we'll get into as well. And yeah, I see some good questions, which I will address. So yeah, keep them coming in the chat and we'll do, or in the Q&A or chat, either one, and we'll answer them. Coming into Wednesday here, which is like the final show day, if you will, there's more time here on the last day for early arrivals. So you've got an hour from 8 a.m. Reg opens at 8:30 this day. So just a hint later for a little bit more sleep and coffee. Sponsor hall, again, open 9 to 6. The pub's open, content starts at 9:30 this day. We've got, again, full day of contents, brain dates, a lot of VCs this day. Happy hour happening on site as well as like the happy hour wrap party. So that goes from 3 to 6. Things to keep in mind this day. You do have to move out your stuff this day. You cannot leave it there. So as it gets closer to the end of SaaStr Europa, our teams will be coming around to see what you want to keep, what you want to ship back, or anything that you might want to toss from the event so that we know what's, getting kept, what's getting maybe sent back to your offices, and what is being disposed of. So sponsor breakdown and move out does start right at 6, right after we finish happy hour. However, I do know there's been sponsors who have left earlier, or they're like, okay, I really just need to stay for an hour of happy hour, not 3. Totally fine. You can break down and move out early. You'll not be breaking down your booths. This is just to say like any swag or items that you brought with you. Oops. We will just need to know from one of our team members, like what you want to keep, what you want to toss, what you want to get disposed of, anything you want to get shipped back. For things you're going to keep, basically, we are going to coordinate with you and Lynn, who's our shipping partner at GSM, to ship it back to their warehouse, and then they'll ship it from their warehouse to you. So obviously there is an additional fee for that versus things that you just hand carry and take back with you. I don't know why my Google keeps doing that. Sorry. Other things to, I'll pause my share. Other things to bear in mind on the breakdown and move out. If you do plan to leave earlier, like maybe before we make our rounds, do come let one of our team members know. Obviously you can, if you don't have the time, our team will basically be going around starting Monday doing formal intros to sponsors so that you'll know the 3 people who will be taking care of you, in addition to your individual like account executives like David or Kevin or Poya. We've got a dedicated on-site team to help with sponsorships and any production. So they'll start to come around at about 3, but if you're planning to leave earlier, just flag one of them down once you know their face is on site of like, hey, we're actually going to leave a bit earlier. We want to ship these boxes back with Lynn, or we're going to take these boxes with us, and everything else you can trash. That helps us, again, get the derig and post-event breakdown done smoother, because if we don't hear from you otherwise, we'll assume it's to be disposed of. So just bear that in mind. Okay, now I'll get to this actual slide that kept ghosting on me. Real quick word on health and safety here, because this has changed from our previous SaaStr events, even just the SaaStr APAC event we had in SaaStr Annual last year in September. So wanted to call this out. It's a lot more passive now than anything you had to do previously. So hopefully that helps everyone attending. There are just mandatory temperature checks each day of the event. Our new policies just don't come sick, right? We just don't want anyone to leave SaaStr Europa with any sort of ailment, a cold, a flu-like symptoms, whatever it might be, a cough. Like, we just want everyone to be comfortable and healthy. And so we are going to be doing these passive temperature checks each day of the event. So if for some reason somebody on your sponsor team is not feeling well, we do ask that maybe you swap someone else out, or maybe have them sit this one out, have them come to like a next SaaStr event that you guys are sponsoring or attending. Because if you are visibly sick, we will ask, we've got a whole team for this in health and safety. They will ask them to, go to the EMT on site, go to the nurses, assess what's wrong, and probably send them home. So again, best not to risk it. Also good to let that team member rest if they are not feeling well so that they can recover. So yeah, please do not come sick to the event, but this is our health and safety policy for Europa. So if you need us to swap any tickets to accommodate any sort of like, oh, someone got sick on their flight and they're just going to stay in the room, just let us know. At that point, it's probably easiest to just let us know. If it's like right before the event, just come to the help desk on site at registration. Versus emailing us. If you know now, you can email us certainly. But as it gets closer, that's one of those things we can help you with at the help desk on site. Other things we're doing to just promote the overall health and safety of our sponsors and all the attendees. SaaStr Europa is an indoor-outdoor gathering. So if you guys may or may not know this, Tobacco Docs used to be like a somewhat open air mall back in the day. I guess that was its origin story, if you will. So the Tobacco Docs has several open air areas throughout like the ground floor and going up all the way to like the vault levels and all that stuff. And then the quay side, which is like the dock side, is entirely outdoors. So it's a great like enclosed outdoor area. So yeah, there's a lot of great open air, lots of natural light. I love this venue for that. So you don't feel like you're in just a conference center all day. So it's quite nice. Again, highly recommend if you're shifting your teams throughout the day, you have them go outside, enjoy that dockside, take a phone call out there, chill out there. There's just tables and like coffee and then I think food out there, like just chill out there for a little bit to, get a little fresh air, and not feel so glommed in the same space. Cause I know it can be a lot after like 3 days of being in the same venue. Obviously there will be increased like hand washing, sanitation. Obviously, I think we're all used to this now. There is, as I mentioned, medical staff on site. So between our medical personnel, our health and safety team, and security on site, it's got a full staff on site to help address any issues. But again, we don't want to have to flag anyone. So please, if you've got team members that end up not feeling well after their flights or they're local and they don't feel well, just let us know so that we can change their tickets, etc. Someone just asked about the floor plan, which is literally my next slides. So I'm coming to it now. Great question. I'm answering this now. Cool. SaaStr Europa campus. I'll give you guys a lay of the land. So again, if you think about the Tobacco Docs as having been a shopping mall at some point, it actually does help your wayfinding once you get on site. There's also a 3D tour if you go to tobaccodoclondon.com. I find it very helpful to do that 3D tour. It's not perfect because sometimes it like zooms you into weird rooms, and you're like transported to a room that Scotty did not beam you up to, but like it's very good to use, and super convenient to get like a lay of the land because it is quite a big venue and we are using both floors. So there's like an upstairs, which is what they call the ground floor, and a downstairs, which they call the vault level. So again, highly recommend you do that 3D tour, or you come early Monday, or you come first thing Tuesday morning to kind of get your bearings and the lay of the land. Coming into the campus map, I'll explain both levels, but you guys know what's what on what floor. So let me move my mouse so I can actually mouse over what things are. Again, if your Uber is dropping you here at Pennington Street, you will come right in through. You don't have to switch levels or anything, which is quite nice. You'll enter right through Pennington Street and our team will direct you right through registration. There is a VIP registration that I'll call out that is just for sponsors and speakers. So again, great way to go to Pennington Street. There's a VIP registration. It's just for sponsors and speakers. That way you don't have to wait in the queue if there is one for the normal registration line, which usually, at about 9 o'clock on Tuesday, it's like the rush of everyone coming to SaaStr Europa. So again, use this VIP registration. It'll be super handy on those days to grab your badge. Other things to note, our larger registration is down here. If you've got any like customers that are coming, they'll go through the normal registration. Your speakers should also go through this VIP registration. Obviously, they've got like the sponsor badge. They are a speaker. Have them go through VIP. In theory, it'll be a faster queue than the larger registration. Also to note, there is coat and luggage check down here, but that's not for storage, which I'll get into next because I know somebody asked this as well. Coat and luggage check is for your personal items. So like if you've got I don't know, Dave's wearing a hat. Like if he doesn't want to wear his hat all day and he's like, I'm gonna stuff my hat down there and I don't want to lose it. You can coat check your hat. You can coat check your backpack. If you've got like extra laptops you're bringing, that's okay to do there. Again, personal items you can store down there, not stuff for your booth. So personal items you can store down there. If you've got like, I always have like, I don't know, a purse and a backpack, like you can store, the backpack or the purse, whatever it may be down there, extra coats. Cause I think a lot of people wear layers in London in June. You can store any personal items down there. They'll take care of that for you. I'll talk about storage next, which is also down here. There is sponsor storage down here in the vaults. It is manned and staffed though. So I will say this is not just like, come walk downstairs and like leave your boxes here. No, no, no. Please just tell our teams. Obviously, again, we've got several team members coming on site. They'll be making the rounds, but just flag our team down. We'll probably flag you down because we'll be like, we see you've got a lot of boxes there. Can we help you with those? But yeah, flag our team down, or we'll flag you down with all your boxes. They will help manage your storage on site. There's not a fee for this. There's plenty of dock space. There's plenty of sponsor storage, and we've got dedicated crew to actually store these things for you. So basically how it works is we'll have 3 gals on site in addition, again, to your individual AEs. They will, again, introduce themselves to you on the first day, Tuesday morning, so you'll know their faces. If you need to store something, there's also myself, your AEs. We can help you store stuff down here. Basically, you'll tell one of us that you need to store something. We will add it to our manifest, and we've got an on-site crew who's going to help store this for you because those doors are locked. You can't just like walk down there and like store your boxes in there because then other people could take your stuff. So do let us know if you've got some on-site extra boxes and things to store. We've got plenty of space for it, but we don't want you guys moving boxes either. So we've got crew to do it. Just flag to one of our team members. We can help you store it on site. And then as you need things throughout the day, again, you'll just flag those same people down. Again, I kind of buffer about, 10, 15 minutes before you need the items, not like, oh, I just ran out and like, I need it immediately. Like give them a little bit of time. There's a lot going on at Europa. So if you're like, oh, I'm starting to run out of something and I probably need a box or two, give them a heads up so that they can tell the crew to go grab those boxes and bring them to your booth. That way you don't have to leave your booth. You don't have to walk back and forth. It's much safer this way. But yeah, we do have storage, but that's how storage works on site. Other things down here of note for, both sponsors and attendees, there's the multi-religion room for those who need it. There is a mother's lounge down here. And maybe more importantly is the co-working space. So there is a co-working space down here. It is a giant vault filled of like just high boys for people to plug in, work, have the SaaStr, at the SaaStr cafe, have a place to take a call. Great place to do that. Someone asked to confirm we should not flag down the SaaStr team to pick up boxes for storage. You should flag down the SaaStr team, correct? Yeah, do not bring down boxes on your own to sponsor storage because then we can't add them to our manifest and keep track of them. So if somebody walks off with them, we just can't be liable for it. So again, please do let us know if you've got boxes on site. Our team can manage that storage for you and bring your boxes back and forth for you. Don't go down there yourselves. Again, those rooms will probably be locked if you're walking down there. So you won't be, and we don't want you to leave them in the hallways. So yeah, do flag our team down. And we will help you with any extra boxes, swag, etc. Personal items go to coat check, storage goes to us, and we'll manage the storage. Okay, someone has asked, can we book private meeting rooms? Great question. You actually cannot. So these private meeting rooms are actually SaaStr's private meeting rooms that we are using for meetings. There's a high chance one of them will be free at the time that you need to take a private meeting space. But again, if you're planning on meeting customers, these are not like bookable meeting rooms for on-site sponsors. I do recommend if you've got someone you want to meet, either meet them at your booth or you can meet them, at the cafe or upstairs. You can meet them at the pub or even outside on the dock side or in the cantina. There's 3 cantinas, so there's a lot of spaces to take meetings on site that are not these private meeting rooms. If you're like, I have my CEO and he really needs to meet somebody in private, please reach out to your AE and sponsor success to preset that up in one of our private meeting rooms, but we're not just doing an open block of private meeting rooms. So bear that in mind. We recommend everyone use, that's why we have the co-working space. That's why we have 3 cantinas. That's why we have a pub. Use one of those spaces for meetings, just to keep it kosher. Again, we do not have infinite space in these meeting rooms. So we'll try and accommodate you if you've got like a VIP one-on-one meeting that you need in one of these private meeting rooms, but not guaranteed because we've got tons of meeting space on site. Okay, I'll come into the upstairs, which is the heart of the campus for SaaStr Europa. So notably, all of you are up here. These are where all the sponsor exhibit booths are, as well as all of our stages, as well as everything I just mentioned in the cantinas, brain dates, networking, the pub, the outside, the food. The food is up here, the coffee's up here, and everything's up here. So yeah, you will mostly be on the ground floor throughout your day because all of our sponsor booths, as you can see, are either between stage A and stage B, or between stage B and the workshop stage, the cantina, and the brain dates. Again, this is because those will be the most highly foot trafficked areas throughout the day. There's like side passages we're closing and stuff to encourage folks to flow this way. From stage to stage, most attendees go from stage to stage, speaker to speaker, content to brain dates to, back to the stages, etc. So again, these will be the highly trafficked areas throughout the day. You can expect there will be constant traffic of people going to and from things, during happy hours, they'll have their drinks, they'll come around. There's a lot of activations in each of these areas to help promote traffic flow. So there's going to be a lot of people all day. I do think that is different from other events that maybe you've even hosted at or sponsored at Tobacco Docs. Like, it's not just in one expo hall, if you will, like it is in the venue throughout like the space, again, because they will be more highly trafficked. So highly recommend you like swap your team members throughout the day to keep them fresh, or to, plan your schedule. If you've got team members who want to go see content, who want to go do brain dates, like make sure they have time to do that, because that is a great way as well to meet more attendees rather than just being in the booth all day, is to take advantage of those things as well, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, coming on to here, our main stage is, I shouldn't say main stage, they're all kind of the same-ish size, but stage A is here. It is the biggest technically, between stage B coming over to the right, and then the workshop stage. This is not to scale, so bear that in mind. There are 2 cantinas up here again. So there's going to be people eating and drinking and getting coffee and walking back and forth between these booths. In these booths, again, you're in between the 2 main stages. There's going to be a ton of foot traffic there, as well as some food activations. Lots of, I think there's coffee and tea there as well. Again, lots of activations, and people will be going back and forth. It will probably feel crowded. I'll just forewarn you guys now. Like, there will be times where you may feel like there's a little bit of a lull because there's, people are in content and sessions. But I would say when there are times throughout the day where there's not full content and sessions, you will feel crowded. Like in the mornings, during happy hours, it will feel bustling at SaaStr Europa. So do bear that in mind. Like, it's gonna feel like there's, 3,000 to 4,000 people here, because there will be too. So bear that in mind. We do have 2 cantinas here for food, as well as a main cantina down here next to the cantina stage, as well as the pub. The pub also has food all day. It's got drinks all day. If you're like looking for a snack, the pub's a good place to go. I will say, do make sure you guys factor in time for your teams to eat lunch. It is the same time as attendee lunch. You can just go to any of these stations, any of the cantinas, or the pub, or the dockside. Those will have lunch for you guys. Please do make sure, again, you rotate your teams, you allow time to eat. I know lunch is one of the most highly trafficked times to talk to attendees, because they're all walking around, milling about. There are different session times, so people will not all just be like one wave of lunch. So yeah, do try and, maybe either catch lunch early or catch it at the tail end before it does end, so that you guys can do lunch, or again, rotate your team members during lunch. I know it's a highly trafficked time. It's also a good way to meet people in the cantina or at the pub during lunch outside of your booth. So
I would just say, make a schedule, make a schedule for your team. Like, that's so important, especially around lunch. Everyone's got to eat, and you want to make sure it's paced out. And it's a good opportunity, like Amelia said, to get out of the booth and go see people in other places. That's where I've had some great meetings. So, yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, really recommend, like, if you don't have the app yet, which we'll talk about, get the app, make a schedule, or look on just like SaaStrLondon.com, load up the agenda, make a schedule for your team. We've been increasing people's passes so that they can rotate their team, so that they've got like morning shift and afternoon shift people. That's totally fine. Just let Sponsor Success know. We've been fairly accommodating of a lot of these. And yeah, so that way your team can rotate, and that you do have people, going to sessions, doing brain dates, going to lunch. So that, again, it's a long day if you're doing booth duty for the entirety of the day. There are chairs in your booth, but still, it's, it gets to be a long day on your feet. Definitely wear trainers. The other thing I will say, or sneakers. The other thing I'll say about Tobacco Docs is, like, it is cobblestoney in some places. So like, It's not, it's not an expo. So it's not like, that carpeted kind of cushy stuff. Like wear very comfortable shoes throughout the day for your booth. I've also seen people like at their booths bring like those like doormat carpets that you get at like Target or something. Those are a good hack, or like you can Amazon like a floor mat that's like a kitchen mat if you like want a standing area. I've seen some people do that just so that their ground is more supportive and cushy. It actually does help on long days. So yeah, pro tip there. Okay, we've talked about the registration time. So the other thing I'll say on registration is this is what the badges look like. I wanted to show all of you because this is how you will scan folks for leads who are at your booth, etc. So just pull one of my old badges out. That was my Europa 2022. How apt, Amelia. I had this one on top. They look like this, although those are actually front and back. So we used to have this issue of like, when your badge would like flop in the wind and then like you can't see who you are anymore. So we've actually solved that problem because the new ones are front and back. So it's, it's got my name, my title, my company, and it's got my QR code and my attendee type. So everyone will have a QR code. It's nice now that these are front and back. So even if you don't have to ask people to like, can you turn your badge around? You could just scan them. How this works, which literally the next slide is lead scanning. But we'll show you guys how to download the GTM Leads app. You basically hold your camera up to the QR code on the app, and then it will scan and save that person as a lead for you in real time. You can add notes while you do it. It's literally just scan myself to nothing. But yes, it does work in real time. You can add notes and then save them as a lead. So super handy to know. Just wanted to show you guys that. Other things to note for registration before I get into the lead scanning. Some of you have not yet registered for SaaStr Europa. Say that in my nicest teacher tone, because we really do need you to register for a variety of reasons. One, to David's point, you can't really make a schedule if you've not registered your teams yet and seen what's going on that day.
Can't access brain dates either.
Yeah, can't access brain dates, can't do meet a VC. We don't know who's coming. It's really hard for all of us.
You won't get in.
Yeah. So please, 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 I implore you before the 31st to register all your team members as best you can with your sponsor all access ticket types with your codes that we've sent you. Because if not, you will start getting nice daily emails to register your teams. So if you want to avoid that, please register your team now. Honestly, guys, the reason we need this now is so that we can QC all the sponsor ticket types, make sure that like if they are a part of a sponsor, if they're, part of your team, but some reason their ticket type got weird or their access got weird, we can make sure it's all streamlined on the back end, make sure, everyone's name looks correct, especially if you've got people with names with special characters. Sometimes it breaks on the back end. We go and we do fix those. So like, again, really important you register your team so we can make sure, sometimes you guys like to have, secure frame, capital S, capital F. Some people just put in secure frame, but like on the badge, I'm sure you want to be capital S, capital F. So like we fix all those things on the back end. Once you register, we do an audit. So please register your teams. Can't say this enough. It does help us know who's coming. And since you guys are coming the first entry, really important we get that in before the 31st. I know Monday's a holiday, so just do it now or tomorrow before you take a break and then don't think about it. So yeah, please do that now. Other things I will note that I mentioned on the attendee webinar, that is not a formal slide here, but everybody does need to pick up their own badge. So there are formal ID checks each day of the event, as well as a passive temperature scan. Amelia cannot come and be like, oh, I'm Amelia from SaaStr, I'm gonna pick up Amelia's and David's. Like, I make David go get his own badge. Like, everyone needs to, he's nodding because it's true. Everyone needs on your team to individually get their badge so that we could do an individual ID check, because badge swapping is strictly prohibited. Again, if you need extra passes, just let us know. We're accommodating a lot of those. We can help you with that. Just please do it. Pre-register. Can't say that enough. Stop saying it now. Pre-register, bring your ID. Again, daily ID checks and daily temperature checks so that there is no badge swapping. Other things I'll say on that is like your ID can be, if you're US based, it can be your driver's license or your passport. It's fine. Passport card is okay. Driver's license from any, issued country is fine to international country. Passport's obviously the easiest, but you do need to bring that with you each day. If you forget your ID, our security team will turn you away. They will not care that you've got a sponsor badge. You need to bring your ID back the next day. David cannot come up and be like, oh, Amelia's on my team. Can you please, I vouch for him. Can you please let him in? The security team does not care.
But a picture of your ID on your phone.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
okay,
that's a good hack.
cool.
Yeah, picture of ID on your phone, or like picture of your password on your phone. You know, good to have that anyway. So
Yep.
favorite it in your camera roll. Yeah, that's a good hack. But yeah, printed is preferred. If you have a photo, that's fine. They'll accept that. But again, if you don't have a photo, you don't have your ID, they're going to send you back to your hotel to go get it. So sorry, but warned you now. It's actually not my rules. It's just the security team rules. So trying to keep everyone safe. Okay, lead scanning. We're going to talk about everyone's favorite thing on lead scanning. Okay. First thing on lead scanning, we have asked via Sponsor Success, everyone to send us one POC for your lead scanner license. And how this works, each license gets like one unique code, and then you're basically going to use that code to log in to the GTR Leads app. And it can work on up to 10 devices at once, simultaneously at any given time, using the same login. So that's why we need one POC, so that we can make you a unique code per each sponsor. Some of you have done this, some of you have not. So if you haven't, just email Sponsor Success after this webinar and say, I'm the main POC for the lead scanner. You do need to be ticketed. So we've had a few folks be like, oh, David's going to be our main POC for the lead scanner. David doesn't have a ticket. David needs a ticket before we can assign the code, because it attaches to your registration in the back end. So again, big point to register your team, because then you can't get your lead scanner licenses and such. So yes, please do that now, as well as tell us who you want the main POC to be. Basically how this works, again, there's really nothing to do now, but I am going to show you guys how it works. If you go on your iPhone, I've actually already got it on my iPhone. This is the GTR Leads app. It works on both Apple, Google Play. It also works on like iPads. So if you're like, I'm going to bring some iPads this day, I don't want our phones to die, I get it. That's fine too. It works on iPad. It's fine. If you got iPad minis, it works actually really well on iPad mini because of the bigger camera. So again, pro tip. But you're going to download the GTR Leads app on your device. Again, it works on Android, it works on Apple, it works on iPads as a pro tip. And basically what you'll do is, I'm already logged in. But what you'll do the first time is it's going to ask you for the code that we give you to log in. So again, that's why we need your POC, so that we can email you back your code so that you can log in to the app. Once you log in, I know someone has asked this in the chat, you can set your lead qualification questions. We recommend you just do this once. Not everyone do, just have your main POC, log in the first time, set your qualifiers. There's no limit to the like number of qualifiers that you can have, but it is only true false. So you can say like, was this person interested in a demo? True. Was this person wanting to book a meeting with us afterwards? True. Did this person get swag? True. Was this person just looking for swag? True. Or like, was this person a bad lead? Like, what was the quality of this lead? And you can use like true, false of like good, bad of like, okay, true is a good one, false is a bad lead, so that your sales team skips it. Again, you could do endless qualifiers, but they are only true, false questions based supported. So just keep that logic in mind when you're setting your questions. I'm actually going to click this app capabilities because it's really handy. This is obviously linked in the know before you go. I'm also going to drop it into the chat right now. Boom, there you go, everyone. It is the Bizzabo GTR Leads app that we use. It explains a lot more detail than the slide. The slide is just a high overview, but it will show you how to download the app. Again, you're going to do that activation code that we give you once you give us your POC. For those who have given us your POC, you will get those codes tomorrow. So you'll get those codes tomorrow. You will get those codes tomorrow. You'll be able to log in. And again, the home tab is what appears as like a default. Once you do start to scan people, this is where you'll see your leads, your settings. This is where you edit those qualifiers. So you see where it says edit qualifiers. Again, just have your main person do this once because it will work across all of your devices on the same license because you're using the same code basically. So just do this once, and also tell your team like, hey, if you add qualifiers, we're all going to see them, which is fine. But also if they delete them, then it deletes it for you. So a weird thing, but that's how it works. It does work to sync in real time. Again, it's in real time. It does work on offline mode. So like if you've got iPads that, you're just going to sync up to Wi-Fi later, there's Wi-Fi throughout the venue. So just get on the SaaStr Europa Wi-Fi or the SaaStr sponsored Wi-Fi. We'll give you the password once you're at SaaStr Europa. That's how you'll sync your app in real time to the backend. Again, you can edit the qualifiers. There's the button to scan so that you can scan the QR code that's on the badge. And once you scan, you'll see it kind of looks like this. You'll see what your qualifiers are. You can turn them on. You can see this is how it's like true, false. Like, will they buy? Do they need a follow-up? Were they only in it for the swag? That kind of stuff. And then your leads tab. This is really important because this is how you can export this. So in your leads tab, you'll see this handy export button. This is how you can export to the main POC. Just again, because your main POC is the person registered, if you hit that export button, it only goes to the main POC. So again, you're going to want your POC to be someone who's at the event registered on site so that they can get these exports in real time. Account tab, this is just like who your POC is and their code. There's some notes here if you need to sync up, if your app gets out of sync for any reason. Again, that's really only if you're not on the Wi-Fi at some point, or if you're US based and like you're only on Wi-Fi, you're not on like the LTE because you're roaming or whatever it is. But that's it. So that is the rough and tough walkthrough of the Leads app there. Hopefully that answered the question in the chat on how to update the qualifiers. Again, it's kind of like that true false, basically on or off mentality, which I'll show you again here. Like these are the qualifiers. This is how they show up. Again, it's easy to toggle when you're on the phone because it's like true false. So yeah, that's how that works. Other things to keep in mind on lead scanning here. The app captures by default the first name, last name, email, job title, company. That is what goes to you in your lead scan, in your export. That's how you get it. Again, those are like the standard fields we give to everyone for like what information is provided. So if you want extra things that are not kind of a true false qualifiers, those are things you're going to want to keep track of either by like, real timing your syncs to your computer so that you can just fill that in, or taking note of it so that once you do get those exports, you can fill in any additional information that you might need for these leads. But that is the only things that are delivered as like defaults. Okay. Booth designs, I'll just touch on this for a second, actually more on the booth timelines, and also a few reminders that I've seen a few questions on in the sponsor success inbox. There's a few of you who have not yet approved your artwork or the printer has flagged issues with your artwork. Really need you guys to respond to those as soon as possible. As you can imagine, with less than 2 weeks to show, they've already started printing some of the booths. And so now we're just waiting for like the final set of booths, and time is definitely of the essence. It's a holiday here Monday in the States. It's also a holiday in the UK. It's a bank holiday. So just note that does impact timelines for things. So again, we need all of you to pretty much approve your booths within the next 24 hours to meet their deadlines. So if you haven't yet and you haven't approved yours yet or you're having issues, really appreciate most of you being super urgent and on those to respond to those ASAP. I will go through some of the inclusions because I think folks have asked like what's all included in my booth, where's the placement of things, etc. So everyone's back wall will be like the bulk of their booth, if you will. The cabinet that goes in front of you, you'll probably have seen, we've emailed some of you for your placements on where you, actually we've emailed all of you, for your placements on where you want this front cabinet. It can be front, this one is front left, just as an example. It could be front center or front right. If you can picture that, this one's front left. Most of you have told us your preferences. If you haven't told us your preferences or you don't care, it does go in the center by default. So really important we get those preferences and we hear back from you, because again, that is where they're going to not only drop your cabinet, that cabinet has power. So once it's dropped, it cannot be moved because your power is all taped under there. So yeah, really important you tell us your cabinet preferences. It does lock and it does have a power strip. I think it's a 4-way power strip. Other things I've seen people ask in sponsor success is like, are these US or UK plugs? They are UK plugs. So if you're coming from the US or internationally, you do need to bring adapters with you. They will have some, but they will run out if everyone needs adapters. So again, can't recommend enough you bring your own adapters. Pro tip on Amazon, you can get like a multi-adapter that goes into a surge protector, Those are great. They're like $30 on Amazon. Bring one of those with you because then you can just plug in your US stuff. That's what I do even for our team. So do that. Every booth has a different number of like, it has 2 stools by default. So again, for your teams to sit during the day. There's a waste basket for any like small trash, swag, etc. There is a monitor on a stand. So we'll talk about these monitors a little bit because folks have been asking questions on them. Every monitor is placed to the right of your booth. Unless you are a platinum, that cannot be changed. So every gold, super gold, your monitor's to the right, that's where it is. That's where it's staying. Everyone has a monitor to the right. It is a 32-inch monitor and it comes with an HDMI cable as well as a power drop at your monitor. Again, it's a 4-way, so keep in mind your monitor is going to take up one of those plugs and you've got 3 that you can like plug in your device to for whatever you're running on the monitor, plus 2 more devices, if you will, plus the 4 at your cabinet. So you've got a lot of plugs in your booth. Things to bear in mind on that monitor. It is just a monitor with an HDMI cable. You will need to bring a device to play anything you want to play on your booth. Most people will bring a laptop that they'll plug into. If you bring a laptop, you will need a dongle. Again, I don't know if you're Mac PC. Some of the newer Macs can actually take HDMI. Some of the older Macs that are not the M1s, you do need a dongle for it. PC, obviously, most of those have HDMI ports, so you can plug in directly. It does mean a lot of folks do leave their device in that, like on the laptop shelf, meaning you're not going to really have access to it throughout the day. So we do recommend you bring an extra device to run whatever booth loop you're running versus like, okay, Amelia's going to float between, putting her computer there and then using it. That gets a little clunky throughout the day. So do recommend you bring an extra device, usually a laptop, to plug into that because it is HDMI. I do know some people who've plugged in their Apple to HDMI, or some people who have brought, if you have one, an Apple TV or a Fire Stick. Those are good hacks. Like if you got a Fire Stick that plugs right into the HDMI port, you can unplug the cable that comes with it, plug in your Fire Stick, and then just play it off of your computer if you want to use your computer throughout the day and you don't have an extra. Fire Sticks, again, $20 on Amazon. Just order one in your country, bring a Fire Stick with you. Good hack there. But you may want to leave a device there for certain reasons. So yeah, someone just asked, can you plug in USB? I wouldn't recommend it because the formatting is tricky. So again, I recommend if you get like a Fire Stick to plug in, because that plugs into HDMI, or an Apple TV that plugs into HDMI, that's fine. I don't recommend bringing USBs. The format I've seen, even when people format this picture perfect, like it doesn't actually work on the monitor. It's just not foolproof. And certain monitors can just be super finicky. So yeah, recommend you either bring a separate device or bring a Fire Stick, Apple TV thing, display it from your computer. But again, bringing a separate device is recommended because even with a Fire Stick or Apple TV, like it's going to, mirror your screen, or you've got to split your screen and then you don't have your full screen. So, or you've got to run it off your phone. Not ideal. Ideal to just bring a separate laptop that you're going to basically leave and set with whatever you want to be on your monitor. Other things to note just for the platinums, because I've seen a few platinums ask this as well. The platinums are the booths that come with additional high boys, as we call them. So these are like those, they call them poser tables. I call them high boys. Those are just like those standard like tables that you walk up to. So if you have a platinum, they do come with the high boys, as well as they have a bigger monitor. That placement is more, again, for our platinums. You can pick where your TV goes. Everyone else, it's to the right. So worth noting there. Again, this is just a recap of what I just said. I'll say one last tidbit here on furniture. I've seen a few people ask for additional furniture. We're pretty much past the deadline at this point. You can ask Sponsor Success for what it is. We will try. I know a few people asked this morning. We are trying to get those things. Again, it's not a guarantee because it's past the deadline. So we're trying to accommodate those as best we can. But again, no guarantees because we are much, much, much past the deadlines there. Someone has asked in the chat, for the TV stands, is there space to leave a laptop on them? Yes, there is a laptop shelf that you can leave your device on the whole day. Basically set it, forget it. Not forget it, but it'll play your content all day. Other things I'll say on furniture, yeah, please do bear that in mind. We'll try and accommodate some of these last minute requests. It's not guaranteed because the deadline was the 19th of April. So kind of past it now. But other things I'll say on Wi-Fi, I know a few of you order hardlines, but most of you did not. That's totally fine. There is Wi-Fi throughout the venue. There's a sponsored, like, dedicated network that will give you the ID for once you show up on site. But yes, just know that there is like open Wi-Fi throughout the venue. And for those who ordered hardlines, we've got those all in place. If you're like, oh shoot, I need to order a hardline, again, tell us today. We'll try to accommodate it. No guarantees because we're past the deadline as well there. But yeah, there is plenty of Wi-Fi. Okay, shipping and swag I'll touch on because I know some of you have shipments. And for maybe those who have shipments but haven't told us. We do encourage you guys to bring your swag, your giveaways, etc. to SaaStr Europa. There are certain things that are prohibited. So again, just as a reminder here, in case we see these, you might get flagged down by one of our team members or security or the venue. No food activations unless you've already told us about them. So some of you have secured additional food activations through the venue on like tricycles or I don't know, branded things that you're bringing that are food branded that we've gotten literally an exception from the venue approved on. If you have not done that, food is not allowed at all. No food, no beverage. Can't do this unless you're one of those people who've already told us about your food or your activation. If you're like, oh no, I've already ordered all this food to come, you need to really email me, your AE and sponsor success and let us know. Again, not sure we can make a lot of exceptions here. This is a hard and fast rule that all food and beverage needs to be through the venue. They are very particular about this. So again, that's not even just an us rule, that is a venue rule, had to have been secured through SaaStr tobacco docs already. Other things to know, I know we just talked about monitors a lot. Sound and portable speakers are not allowed to be played. So anything on your booth loop should have captions on it if you want people to know what people are saying, because the sound will not be allowed. So bear that in mind. Portable speakers also not allowed. That's because there's house speakers, there's content, there's ambient noise throughout the venue. It's going to be already really loud as it is. We can't have everyone turning up their monitors to like 11 to try and get their content across. So do make sure you caption it. Kind of an odd rule, but no balloons. I don't know. I know some people have brought balloons to annual. That's fine at annual. Not allowed at Europa. This venue is hard and fast on no balloons. So no balloons, sorry, not us rule, venue rule. Other things not allowed, glitter, confetti, fake snow, basically like fake, the confetti is a really big no. Too much glitter, like things that would basically disperse throughout the venue. Again, it's open air, things that would get caught in the wind, not allowed for like the just overall safety of the event. And also drones are not allowed. So if you're like trying to film on like DJI drones, not allowed, they don't allow it. Again, it's open air, your drone could leave the vicinity very easily. It's multi-floor, your drone could drop from one level to another because you don't know unexpectedly. No drones, please. Shipments, I'll just say this as a reminder on shipments, they had to have been completed and coordinated with our advanced team warehouse. If you're like, oh no, I haven't coordinated this yet. You do have a few days if your shipment is coming from within the UK. So if your shipment was coming internationally, the deadline was, I think yesterday actually, or today for any shipments to have been coordinated between us and then GSM. So Lynn's been a really great POC on getting people's shipments in. If it's coming from the UK, it's got to be there by the 31st. Again, today's probably your last day to ship it because of the bank holiday, right? Carriers are closed, couriers are closed Monday, which really Tuesday is the only day to like one day ship it, and then it gets there Wednesday, which is the 31st. So again, if you're shipping something from within the UK, today is really the day to do it so that it gets there by the 31st. After the 31st, again, can't guarantee it will get to tobacco docs. Other thing to note, if you're like, oh no, I missed this deadline, what do I do? There are options, but you cannot directly ship to tobacco docs. Tobacco docs will not accept any couriers. They won't accept it for SaaStr. They don't accept couriers. They don't accept couriers. Like if I was like, oh, I've got something I really need for SaaStr, they'd be like, I don't care. You know that we don't accept couriers. So do not ship directly to tobacco docs. They will not accept it. I will also say, I know some of you may try this anyway, of like, oh, I'm just going to ship to tobacco docs. I'm sure it'll get to me. Tobacco docs doesn't have receivables. They have loading docs. So like It may end up in a loading dock. There's multiple loading docks. There's like 5 ports in the main loading dock and like another 4 ports in their other loading dock. This is honestly going to sit on a loading dock somewhere. If you ship it directly to tobacco docks, it will not get to your booth. So do not ship directly to tobacco docks. And that's even if they receive it. They've been known to turn away couriers like FedEx, UPS, DHL, whatever it is. Again, because Wapping is a really busy street, they really only receive deliveries through their loading bay that's already been coordinated. And that's why we have Lynn and GSM. I know some of you are last minuters. The hack for this, if you are bringing things last minute and you are ask your hotel if you can ship there, find a FedEx store that you can ship to, arrange, direct shipping to their store, and then bring it to tobacco docks. You can hand carry it in and then we can store it for you. But yeah, you cannot ship directly to the docks. Again, we really apologize. This is not an us rule. This is a tobacco docks rule. You cannot ship directly there. And that's why we've got all these great shipping deadlines and partners with GSM and on-site storage and all that stuff. You can hand carry for I'm just going to bring like a duffel bag or an extra suitcase of swag. That's totally fine. I know a lot of folks do that. They fill up like a carry-on or they fill up an extra suitcase if they're traveling. That's a good hack as well. You're like, I'm just going to hand carry it in and then store some extra stuff. Totally fine. That stuff is all kosher. But again, if you've got loads of boxes or swag that's coming late and you're trying to ship directly to tobacco box, again, it's not allowed. And I don't encourage trying to circumvent this because it will just likely chances will either get turned away or sit on a loading bay. Justice, hi Justice. Having an importing issue from the US, would you be able to share information about importers clearance instructions? Yeah, Justice, I don't actually know offhand. This would be more of a Lynn question. I did see your email to her. So she can probably help get you guys through customs. And I know you and I chatted yesterday on getting your swag to SaaStr. So in your case, yeah, I know you've already pre-coordinated with us. That's all fine and good. So yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, we'll don't worry, we'll help you coordinate with Lynn on getting that over to us. Okay, I'm gonna try and breeze through this because we are shockingly at the top of the hour. I'm going to go through the events by day. Big things to note if you're a sponsor, the VIP reception and day 1 setup. Obviously, we've gone through that. Tuesday, the big thing, there is a skylight party at, there's a skylight party on the rooftop of Tobacco Docks. It's open to all attendees, though I know many of you are hosting your own offsite dinners, meetings, parties. That's totally fine. Some of the attendees are having their own dinners offsite. So again, if you are around, cool. There's no booths up there. There's nothing you're missing on lead scanning. So if you have your own thing, don't fret, but it is a fun time to have a rooftop party at the skylight. So I'm going to skip some of this because we've gone through it. The mobile app, again, if you don't have it yet, highly recommend you download it. It's the SaaStr Events app. It is available in, Apple, Google Play. You can scan the QR code off the snow before you go. We'll resend the link if any of you don't have it yet, as well as the recording. Again, really great way to build your schedule is on the app, as well as, book your sessions, book your brain dates, manage your tickets, make a schedule, all handy on the app. Last 2 things I will talk about, and then we'll answer any last minute questions. Brain dates, I know I've seen some questions here via Sponsor Success on how you guys can take advantage of the brain dates. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of the brain dates because I'm logged in. You can see I was showing this on the attendee webinar, but let me come into the homepage. When you drop into brain dates, there's basically 2 main ways that you guys can network and brain date even as sponsors. And you'll see Jeremy's I'm so glad Jeremy's is at the top. Jeremy's is a great example. He's part of a sponsoring company. You'll see they've got these fun tags of SaaStr sponsor. That's to help you guys get called out on the app so that you're a little bit more prominent than just the normal brain dates. And it's just a fun badging that we've done for all of the sponsors. That's automatic just because you guys have sponsor all access ticket types. It knows to tag you as a sponsor and give you this cool little banner. But how to brain date. So there's 2 ways to brain date as sponsors and just general attendees. You can join an existing topic. So you can see there's 78 topics that we've approved here. So you can join and schedule a brain date. So if I wanted to join, let's say Jeremy's brain date on when to expand as a startup founder, I would say, okay, great. That's a topic I'm interested in. I would pick a time here that I want to meet with Jeremy. All of these will meet in the Brain Date Lounge. And then when you're at the Brain Date Lounge, the wonderful people at Brain Date will tell you like what your specific table number is, where to go. So you're basically just checking out the overall lounge when it's time for your Brain Date. There are a different number of formats on Brain Dates to bear in mind. So you'll see some of these ones at the tops are one-on-ones. There's also, you can filter here like by the type of Brain Dates if you want to see just the one-on-ones or the groups. You can come and see the group Brain Dates. So I'll just filter by groups for a second. And you can see here, there are some what we call super Brain Dates, which are like groups of 20. And then the normal size of a Brain Date is a group of 5. So you can see some of these spots, some of these are filling and have like 1 spot left. Some of the ones toward the bottom have 0 spots left because they're full. But there are group topics as well if you want to join a group Brain Date so that it's not a one-on-one setting. Other things to Brain Date and network with folks. So there's 2 other ways to do it. Is you can create a topic versus joining one. So if you're like, oh, I've seen that I really want to talk about, demand gen. You could say, I want to have an open discussion about the best tactics for demand gen in 2023. And you would hit next. Basically, you could say what inspired your topic if you want to post this topic, and then you would pick a type. So I'm going to say one-on-one. I'll say I'm doing this topic because I'm a marketer. Obviously, you could write more than this. This is just as a sample. And then you would add keywords. So if you were talking about marketing, you could say this is about marketing, and you could see marketing already kind of comes up, as well as marketing automation. You could say like demand gen. Demand gen comes up, cool. And this will just help people find your topic. It'll make you more searchable for Brain Dates. You'll hit next. And since I did one-on-ones, it will just let me post my topic. It is instant. If you do a group Brain Date, it'll ask you what time because there's certain slots for group Brain Dates. When you hit post your topic, just a quick note here, it does go to our moderation queue. So it will not show up on the Brain Dates app in real time. It takes, less than 24 hours for our speaker teams to moderate and approve topics. They'll let you know if something like this would be a great topic, it would be approved. If it's something that's pitchy, they may ask you to kindly adjust your topic so that it's not a straight commercial on the Brain Date app. We just don't want different AEs, even attending AEs, to pitch one another and people all day. So if you see that flag, just kindly work with the speaker team to update your topic on directly in the app. And if it is approved, you'll see it show up to the marketplace by the next day. So I'm going to quit this because I'm not going to post my topic. The last way to kind of meet with folks is via the People tab, which is kind of easily missed on this. So I'll just call this out. There is a People tab up here. So rather than going by topic, you can also go by person. So if I'm like, okay, cool. I know Leanne. I want to meet with her at SaaStr Europa. You can say, okay, I want to meet with Leanne. And you can pick either topics you've created, or since neither of us have topics, you can create a new topic of interest there to meet with her. I'll go back because I'll show you one for the one I just did on the attendee webinar has topics, or I'll choose Edward, who's got topics here. So if you see somebody who does have topics, I'll show you the flow to submit a meeting. So you can do like he's got one like, okay, he's actually just meeting with SaaS founders because he is an investor. So he's got a topic on the Brain Dates. If I was like, okay, I want to see what his interests are and talk about fundraising because I'm raising capital, I would hit continue and then basically tell him the subject of my meeting, like I want to meet to fundraise, tell him about yourself, and then propose a time. And this will basically this will propose a double opt-in meeting for Edward. What this means is like, you're going to put in all your information about a topic, a time, you're going to choose a proposed time that he looks free in the app, and then send an invite. If Edward accepts it, it will book you guys into a one-on-one Brain Date. But please note, it is double opt-in, so you can't just like spam all, and attendees can't spam you if they just want to meet you. Like, it has to be topics based, and obviously like you can reject ones. We are monitoring this as well. But yeah, a good way here to get a double opt-in meeting with either investors or other founders is through the People tab, because you can just propose meeting with the person on a specific topic versus the other way around. So kind of a cool hack there. I don't think a lot of people use the people tab on Brain Date. So kind of approach it there. But again, keep in mind it is double opt-in. So they do have to accept your meeting. And it does open a message room. So they might be like, oh, I want to meet, but like at 10, not 9, like it'll let you do that. So cool tip there for Brain Dates. I'm going to come back and see what else we've got in our last minute. All right, cool. Let me open it up then to final questions because I want to be cognizant that we are at the top of the hour. And I know many of you may still have other questions we might not have gone through. Someone has said, is there parking at the venue? There's parking across the way. Let me go back to that slide. Give me 1 second. Again, don't really recommend it though, only because the car park closes before SaaStr Europa does, but I will certainly give you that info in case you do have a car. It does mean though, you would probably need to move it before you go. I don't know where my slide went. But anyways, if you look for like the car park that's at Tobacco Docks, it's right across the way. It's called like Yellow Park. Again, we haven't really recommended this to folks because the car park closes, I think, at like 6 and like Europa ends at like 8. And then if you're loading out on Wednesday, it closes at 8. So yeah, there is parking there, but it's kind of tough because it closes before the event does. So yeah, hopefully that answered that. Any other questions? Drop them in the chat or the Q&A. Thanks all for watching. I know this is a full hour. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
No, there was a hand raise. Alonso was raising his hand, but I don't know if that was by accident. Feel free to drop it in, Alonso, or shoot us an email.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool.
Okay, we'll give it 1 more second. I'm going to check if there's any questions off of our streaming. Nope. Okay. All right. So, in that case, thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully, I know this was a lot of information, jam-packed. Hopefully this was super helpful on everything you need to know. As a sponsor before you come to SaaStr Europa, as always, can reach out to our team via Sponsor Success. And we're happy to answer any additional questions you might have or confirm anything up with you. And if not, we will see you very soon in London for SaaStr Europa 2023.
See you in London.